everything I hold dear resides in those eyes.
Welcome, YouTubers, to our Wednesday morning taping. Unusual day for us. If anyone is watching, thank you for signing in. We have two folks here in the audience. Thank you for coming.
One more's coming.
Restrooms are right this way. 6134 is the number. Right by the door. And Cam, you're ready to go. Everyone else is ready in the kitchen here. Good. This is for our May 2nd show. Just in case you're wondering, we're doing two more tomorrow, then we'll be done for my entire 5-week vacation.
Where are you going?
Scotland,
I like the way you say
Sicily,
it.
Lisbon, and Bordeaux, and then back to Scotland.
Scotland.
Scotland. Scotland. My favorite haggis in Scotland is Thai haggis bonbons at the local Thai restaurant. They make little haggis with red curry paste and wrap them in the lamb's belly, and then serve Thai haggis bonbons.
Is it good?
It's in St. Andrews. Well, we got to have something in front of the plugs.
I don't know how to do this. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I was looking up, like, trying to get the right scale. But I think that's too big. Like, we won't get the whole thing.
Okay. Hello.
So we might need to go with, like, the inside ones.
Today.
She's always bright and early and the first person to help out.
Or we could just do Julie.
So does Amy force you to come to this show every week, or is it you just love it so much? Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. She signs up for the shift because it's double pay.
Pain and suffering.
Time and a half or double.
It's like all the cashiers at the Ballard Market. It's like, why do you work on Sundays? Oh, that's right, you're unions. Triple pay.
My friend, the flight attendant, flies all holidays.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Is it
It's
extra
like,
pay?
Yeah. It's like makes it worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd prefer that it was, like, blocky, but
When you guys are done, we'll get started on the show.
I'm.
Thank you.
She and her mom, your mom, were ganging up on me this morning, and I didn't appreciate it.
Probably for the best. Do I get breakfast, Becky?
Yes. What would you like? Would you like yogurt or whatever you want?
You want to split an eggs Benny with me?
Thank you. I'm starving.
Did either Balti or Claire respond? Oh. Gary Young responded. Gary Young.
How
Thanks for
was
sending
it?
that to him.
How was the party?
Good. I got a little inappropriate in my timing of criticism. Okay. I have broad shoulders. Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. I just had to cut Amy off there. didn't want to go any further with that. Good job. Welcome to the Hot Stove Society radio show in Cairo. I'm Tom Douglas,
I'm Loretta Douglas.
and we are here at the beautiful Hot Stove Society kitchens in downtown Seattle, 4th and Virginia, on the second floor of the Hotel Andra.
Always lovely.
Always lovely, who's our host in this space. I mean, we pay an enormous amount of rent. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But no, anyway, it's a lovely little spot. If you've never come to see us, come join us in the back. You have to kind of go up the stairs and kind of meander your way to the back of the hotel.
A little adventure.
Look for our signs.
A hidden gem.
A hidden gem. We're coming to you from our kitchen studio, as I told you. Just if you do buy a ticket, we do serve breakfast with that ticket, so it's super fun. This morning we're having eggs Benedict from Lola.
We've got a little audience, which means we order out.
Yeah, we're taping on an odd day today, so we don't have quite the audience today, but that's all right. We have two lovely ladies who are joining us. You can catch us, Tom Douglas & Co. YouTube channel. Tune in on Cairo Radio or listen wherever you get your podcasts. It's always fun. Upcoming classes here at the Hot Stove. You know, we do social classes, which is what these are. We also do private events for corporations and for, like on Saturday night, I did somebody's 70th birthday.
You've been doing a lot of classes recently.
Yeah, exactly. Upcoming here, Brunch Bonanza, sticky buns and cinnamon rolls with Chef Danae on May 10th, just in time for Mother's Day.
Yep.
Except
I
Mother's
would like
Day
that.
is
I'm going
May
to send my husband.
11th, so you
Yeah,
have
so
to
you take
you have
him
to-
home with you, I bet.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Korean banchan and bibimbap with Chefs Rashida and Susan Chung on May 24th, and many more at the hotstovesociety.com. Check out Mother's Day brunch and dinners menus at all of our joints that are open for brunch. That would be what? Half Shell and Lola and the Pies, right? Are doing biscuits on Saturday and Sundays.
Ballard and Totem Lake.
Yeah, you could come down and have
And they're doing really cute little special. Got a lot of little stuff. happening.
we have a hummingbird who's made a nest on a light bulb. Her nest is smaller than a light bulb, and it's a small light bulb. And it's on top of the light bulb on the dock at Serious Pie Ballard, and everyone's obsessed with her.
Oh, how cute.
Rachel has named her Ladybird, and she has built this nest out of cobwebs on top of the light bulb. And we always thought that there were two babies in there, and yesterday I saw a third
Wow.
baby there, the size of my little pinky fingernail.
You need to get a camera and stream it live for folks.
I know it's a little late, but I would imagine by a week from now they'll be gone.
Crazy.
But she's been tending the nest, and apparently they like the social environment, some of these urban birds, because when people are out there and lunch, it keeps predators away from her nest.
That
Like
makes
crows
sense.
or jays or anything else that likes to chomp on little birds. It keeps them away. And so here she is. This is the literal bird on a wire.
Yeah.
Quite literally. And it's been super fun to watch. Our customers out there are having a ball with it. Mother's Day's plans and inspirations on today's show. Laura Hamilton from Book Larder is back with her favorite books. You know, there's two big. The other is Mother's Day. So
excited.
come check out what's the hot buy. We're going to make some crab cakes. When I would go home for my mother and visit, she always wanted me to make crab cakes because there were never enough. How do I put this? When she was home alone, she didn't want to get the big process going. You know, it's a minimum a pound of crab, and you know, my mother was very frugal.
Yes.
So when I
That was
would
a big
come
investment.
back, when I would go back to see her, I would bring a 5-pound can of Dungeness crab,
Because you can't get it there,
fresh
right?
crab, not Dungy.
Not- yeah, just
yeah.
the
I
blue.
don't. I love blue crab too, but I would bring this 5-pound can, and then all the nieces and nephews and come over, and we'd have a big crab cake party. So
I was wondering where we were going with crab cakes on Mother's Day because my mother is very allergic to
I know.
crab. I
make
saw
her-
this segment. I was like, interesting.
I make your mother crab cakes every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she always hates them. Who's Peter Miller? Tell us who Peter Miller is.
Peter Miller is the filmmaker of the new movie coming out called Marcella.
Uh-huh.
And it's his first culinary documentary. It's pretty
On
exciting.
Marcella Hazan, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've learned it's going to be exciting.
I
I
can't
believe
wait.
that's still the number one selling Italian cookbook
Really?
of all time,
Wow.
if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And it's I think Italian Basics or something is what it's called. Set the world on fire.
Yeah.
What is it? Essentials of Classic Italian Cooking. And it was like Julia Child with French cooking.
Yeah.
She did the same thing for Americans and And her husband, Victor, was around for a long time. Is Victor still with us? Good. 96 years old. Eliza Wood is here. That's whose voice you heard in the background. Is from Chef Shop. She's taking us on a balsamic journey. You know, like we do all of our hot stove tasting panels, just for this reason. Because when you walk into the grocery store now, you have your choice of what,
Overwhelming.
15
Yeah.
or 20 different
Yeah.
balsamics. In your shop alone, you probably have five or six
Oh,
or
they have
more.
Tons. Yeah.
So how do you know which ones to buy? Is it, if it's more expensive, is it better? I don't believe that theory. It might be more reduced. It might be more syrupy. It might be all sorts of things. But we're going to find out from Eliza today how to pick your favorite balsamic. And I'm going to ask her to kind of give us the budget version, pricey version. Because, you know, for some people, price doesn't matter.
Yeah. And on Mother's Day, if you're looking for like a
Ooh.
interesting gift or something like that.
Great idea.
You know what I put on pizza the other day? We were doing a mushroom pizza for a class here. And there's some, we had some just extra from a class or somewhere, fig balsamic.
Mm.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
I dressed my mushroom pizza with fig balsamic because I had to
Little
keep
sweeter.
it vegetarian.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a little sweetness and it was delicious. We're catching spring fever with Sean McFadden. He's one of our chefs, presenters, and a technical superstar. He keeps all the
Superstar.
AV going in the right direction here. And of course, we're going to wrap up. Becky, who did the questions today for Food for Thought
I
Tasty
did.
Trivia?
You're in luck. Jim's not going to torture you.
Okay, good. We have a chance, Loretta.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had a rough few weeks.
Well, you came off of a 5 for 5, and then things kind of went south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got ahead of myself a little, I think.
All right, your taste of the week.
I had really delicious asparagus and pancetta ravioli
Mm.
for dinner the other night that we always pick up fresh pasta from the farmer's market stand, La Pasta. They also have a brick and mortar on the top of Queen Anne, that's right by my son's school. So sometimes I'll stop there too. But I love their pastas. And in the spring, they do a asparagus and pancetta little mezzaluna kind of shape ravioli.
Uh-huh.
And I did a little herby brown butter and a seared pork chop, and it was pretty good.
Well,
I
that's
do
the
say
pro
so
tip
myself.
of doing the brown butter, not just plain butter, but
Yeah.
taking that time.
Do you add olive oil to your brown butter?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that combo of fats is nice.
Yeah, and then I add parm, a bunch of parm, and a little splash of pasta water, and it kind of emulsifies into
Uh-huh.
a nice little sauce.
So pasta water is the draining. When you pour the pasta out, we always pour it out through the strainer, but over a coffee cup,
Yeah,
so that we end up with a cup of water if we need it to kind of stir into our.
Salty, starchy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Salty is careful. If we
I don't
use
know which
Bridget's
it's debatable.
pasta
I know.
water,
I'm not a huge pasta water salter. I do
Yeah,
it.
me-
I do it healthy pinch, but I'm
Right.
not a brackish
Yeah.
pasta water.
and Bridget's a
person.
brackish, and she says she learned it that way in Italy. But to me, it's hard to control.
Yeah.
If you're going to add back some water, it's pasta is dry pasta. It soaks up all that salty water. It's not like it just takes the water and leaves the salt in the
Yeah.
pan. The salt is dissolved in the water, so it can be very salty.
And I
to
love
begin
salt,
with.
so I feel like there's a lot of other places that I'm adding salt in my meal. You know, I'm using salted butter all the time. I'm using Parmesan, which is salty
Right.
on its own. So I think it's easy. I'd rather control it on my side than
Yeah.
have the unknown of how much it's going to suck up. And when you're buying a pre-made ravioli product like that too, it's like I
already
don't know
seasoned,
what
yeah.
it's seasoned, but I don't know how much necessarily.
Uh-huh.
And so anyways, if you're at, I think I got mine at the Ballard Farmers Market this past week. I know they're at Magnolia when Magnolia opens, or up on Queen Anne, but their pastas are really delicious. And if you see the asparagus one, pick it up. It was super
You know,
good.
your mother's favorite pasta is the pancetta and pea with some sort of linguine or spaghetti.
Yeah.
Bucatini.
One of
she
my
likes,
favorites too.
and she does that. I just bought some guanciale because she's been out of pancetta, and I haven't been able to find a good one.
Mhm.
The stuff you buy in the grocery store is just.
No, the pre.
I'd much rather use just smoky bacon if I was.
That's
if
what I
I'm reduced to
normally
that.
do.
But at the store the other day, there's a brand called Smoking Goose, and it was a whole cheek of guanciale
Yep.
that I cut in the chunks and put in the freezer so that we can just pull enough for two people at a
Yeah.
time. And it's a little tougher.
Okay.
Like it's not as tender as bacon is, or pancetta, which is just Italian bacon. But it's got a good smoke and a good
Yeah.
flavor profile. And if you're really nice, Tony Catini at Serious Pie makes his own pancetta,
Ooh.
It's
and maybe
so
he'll
good.
sell you a chunk,
know.
but we don't do that very
If
often.
you're at the grocery store and you see the Carlton Farms bacon, it is more expensive. I think it is the best bacon that you can buy. And they have both regular and pepper. And I actually really like to use the pepper bacon.
So the pepper
too. It
bacon instead
gives,
of
like,
pancetta,
that
yeah.
little extra. What's your
Good
taste?
call. My taste is from Neb last night. We had a lovely group in last night's friends of ours for their 75th. It was Lark's 75th birthday. And Balti made supper, and we had lots of delicious little taste. But the one that stood out to me because it was against my profile.
Okay.
He made a little like tagliarine fresh pasta. So tagliarine is fresh pasta kind of rolled up into a roll and then really thinly sliced. The best version of it in town is at
Spinace.
Spinace
Yeah.
Stewart. Spinace makes a beautiful version, very much like what you get in Barbaresco. Anyway, he made a version of it last night, and your mother and I have argued for years about sauce and pasta. I like a lot of sauce on my pasta. She likes it more dry.
Mhm.
Last night, I see this pasta come out, a little tomato bath on the pasta, but literally, there's not a lick of sauce on the plate. It's just on the pasta, and it's so. I just thought, oh, here we go. It's going to be dry, and it was so delicious. And your mother said, I would actually put a little more sauce on this. I said, no way. So it's 100% against my profile.
Yeah.
But it was super tasty. Great
perfect and simple.
Reggiano, grated over the top. And anyway, it was a surprise for me how much I enjoyed that. And it was just a really light, tossed in really light sauce. I mean, literally nothing on the bottom of the plate.
Yeah. Interesting. That sounds delicious.
And it was a little bit yellow. I mean, a little bit orange from the red from the tomato, but surprise, surprise. Who knew that I
Had
could
to
go
eat your
down that
words.
path? I know, exactly. Mother's Day planning has started. And so I'm curious, Loretta, what you want for Mother's Day. You still, since your kid just turned 4, your oldest, you're still a fairly new mother. What are you going to make for your mom for Mother's Day? Because I'm going to be in Europe.
Out of town. Great.
I'm going to be out of town. So just asking.
Okay.
On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. You love little notes like this.
Yes, it is. And there's no response needed.
I just got a note saying my trip to Edinburgh is starting soon.
Golf clubs packed?
Golf clubs are not packed yet, no. I'm playing 20 rounds of golf in 20 days. So
How do you prep for that? You just show up?
I mean, it's a 7-mile walk when you think about it, and it's 200 swings.
Uh-huh.
So it's not that big a deal.
Okay.
What?
I don't
It'd
know.
be 400 swings for me, or
Maybe
500,
250 swings.
depending on the
I'd
day.
be over 1,000.
Well, it's 100 on the driving range. You know, it's 100 in the to warm up or so, and then it's 100 on the course
Oh, okay.
or so.
Okay.
Preferably 90.
Yeah.
We're back here in the kitchen on Cairo. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. I'm Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
And on the producer chair today, Becky Guzak. And over there on the technical side is Cameron Thomas. We are having a good old time. Breakfast is coming from Lola today. I've ordered a Eggs Benny. What did you order for breakfast?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No, but our
Wow.
friends are getting Eggs Benny and granola and yogurt.
Oh, a combo.
Yeah.
Ooh. Loretta, I know, is splitting my Eggs Benny
Yeah.
with me. So
A half eggs, Benny.
Let's
as
talk
much
about-
as I can do.
we're going to talk about how to make crab cakes because that's a traditional thing for me later in the show.
Okay.
But now you have to think about what you're going to do for your mom because she is coming home from Europe and I'm going back to Scotland
Yep.
to play more golf with the boys. So you are in charge of Mother's Day this year, which is
Well, we'll be really excited to have her back. So
I
we'll
know.
have her to our house.
And
Child care.
brunch, lunch, or dinner.
For her dinner.
For her dinner, because
Yeah.
she's not much of a breakfast
She's not a big
person.
breakfast
Yeah.
person, so or breakfast food person. So for her, I would do dinner.
You say that, but one of her most famous dishes that she owns is the Italian sausage strata that she
Yeah.
makes for Christmas morning.
I know I can't replicate that as well as she does it. I don't want to do things that she does for herself,
Uh-huh.
but also I have to be realistic about my own constraints.
Right.
So I would say either maybe she and I can sneak out and go to dinner, just the two of us.
Ooh, that would be
out
interesting.
somewhere,
I happen to
which
know
would
some
be
good restaurants.
a treat.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that opportunity.
Yeah.
If you were to do that, where would you go? What would be the top on your list? And we'll eliminate ours from contention.
Eliminate ours from contention. I don't know. I have a few kind of standby favorites. So my normal special like places I love would be Cantonetta in Wallingford
Uh-huh.
is on my list always. Jewel, also kind of in Wallingford, is always on my list. And then
Is Jewel and Revel interchangeable for you?
no,
No.
I'm on the Jewel side of
And
things.
I'm
I
on
feel
the
like people
Revel.
are like loyalists to either
Yeah,
one
I'm
or
on
the
the
other,
Revel
and
side
I'm
of
on
things.
I'm
Yeah.
on the Jewel loyalty. And then Cafe Munir up kind of by your house is another. Those three are in my stable of like, okay, what sounds good tonight? Pretty much always one of those sounds delicious. So
Well, Randy, who started Cantonetta over there in Wallingford, was our opening bartender at Cafe Sport
I know
in 1984.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I grew up with his
His daughter, Gemma, right?
daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So those are kind of my three in rotation. I might try, my fourth would be Hamdi down on Leary. So clearly I have like a couple flavor profiles that I like. But so if we could sneak out, I'd probably try and hit up one of those because I just feel like they're special, they're consistently delicious, they're intimate, they have good wine lists. Good cocktail programs. Usually,
And if you're with your mom, she's buying. So that's a
yeah, exactly.
good time for a good
Rack
wine
it
list.
up. I should be thinking of somewhere
Factor
fancier.
that
I'm
in.
like,
I was going to say, you didn't mention you just went to Cafe Juanita.
I know. Maybe
And,
we'll go back
you
to
didn't
Cafe
mention
Juanita.
Camlis or Cafe Juanita.
Yeah.
Probably two of the highest. She also kind of likes, although she's not eating red meat as much, but Bateau up on Capitol
Yeah.
Hill. To
I
me,
don't
it's the
get up to
most
Bateau
feminine of the steakhouses.
Mhm.
It's got a nice lighter feel about it.
Totally.
And it has oysters, which she loves.
Which she does love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my number one choice would be if we could sneak out for a girls' dinner because we just don't get to do it very much.
Right.
And then my number two choice is I would probably cook some kind of pasta at home, and honestly, probably down that pancetta and pea spring.
Just so you know, there's
Pasta.
still 2 quarts of shucked peas from the farm in our freezer.
There's not going to be when you're back
Yeah,
from
I
your
know.
trip. Now that I
Ooh,
know that,
Are you going to raid their freezer?
Probably. He lards his freezer so well. There's always so much food in there and steal it. Although there's not often enough for
Your
5,
family.
6 people
Yeah.
at a time. So you portion in twos. I have to portion.
So if you were going to
larger,
make her favorite pasta,
Yeah.
which is the pancetta and pea,
Mhm.
what noodle would you use and how would you make it? And I'm going to critique it all the way
So
through.
I think of
Thank you.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I think of her as preferring a shortcut pasta, like a rigatoni.
It really depends on the sauce.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Like we had bucatini the other night and she said, well, I haven't had a long pasta in a long time.
yeah,
Because we've had all that beautiful orecchiette that Ben had given me.
yeah.
And she loves rigatoni.
Yeah, she
With
loves
bolognese,
rigatoni. So I'd
yeah.
probably do rigatoni because I prefer a shortcut pasta over a long pasta or like a campanelle. I like the roughly texture kind of can pick up that
Hmm.
Gets all the
light
sauce.
sauce. And
Yeah.
when I make it, I tend to go almost like a carbonara route with it. I don't know if that's how she prefers
So
it.
that
with
would
the
be what?
egg.
Crispening the bacon first?
Crisp the bacon first, take it out.
Crispening.
Crispening. And then, whisk up your egg and your cheese and stuff like that. And then when your pasta is warm,
Yeah,
you
there's
toss
no
it
egg,
together.
not
So-
in her pasta. There's
Yeah,
no
she
egg
doesn't
and
normally
cheese in
do
the
an egg,
sauce.
yeah.
No. She loves the carbonara.
like
Her
it.
dad was famous
Yeah,
for making
and-
carbonara.
Pop always made the best carbonara. So
Yeah.
Ben made carbonara the other night, and I was
And
thinking,
that
like,
needs
I
the
need
longer
to make it.
noodle, right?
Yeah, it's usually done on
Yeah.
on some sort of
Spaghetti.
spaghetti carbonara. Yeah.
And I also think of her as liking that aglio olio pasta
loves that,
with
yeah.
the chili flake and the breadcrumb on top. So I could also see incorporating a little bit of that. So you toss your pasta in your bacon fat or pancetta rendering with some olive oil and
Well, she
chili
would,
flake and
she would do that, the bacon fat, render it out, and then you decide if that's too much or too
Yeah.
little bacon fat because you want at least a few tablespoons, a tablespoon per person.
Yeah.
And then you add olive oil to that. So you want a combo fat
a
and
little butter.
even a little
will
butter.
kind of deglaze your.
Right. And she makes the best
crispy
breadcrumbs
bits.
in the world.
Oh my God.
So I'd
I
be
know.
careful there to make sure you
I
follow
know.
her direction. And you know what's really fun? If you do get a girls' night without, you could also learn to make that dish.
I know. I could just come up to
Because-
your house.
Just do a cook
and-
along.
We always talk
Yeah.
about that, how you pass recipes down in your family, and you know we're not getting any younger, and so to learn that process would be a really fun
Yeah.
kind of Mother's Day thing to go through.
So that's kind of where I would be. I know she loves a roast chicken, but she just makes such a better roast chicken than I
And
do
she
that
makes
I
it
don't
all the
wanna-
time. Just saying,
Um,
she loves a sheet pan chicken.
I know she does.
Yeah.
I feel like I am a good steak cook, so I know she loves a good New York too. I could see doing that.
So
Yeah,
what do you
and
want
she
for
doesn't-
Mother's Day?
She's not super confident in her steak cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
do I
you
want?
look? Yeah, you're a mom, 3 kids. Would Ben be doing the cooking or
No.
no?
Ben's a good cook. I just never let him in the kitchen because I love to cook. So
Okay.
he doesn't get to elbow his way in very much. But
He does bring home a lot of Mishima Reserve, though.
I know
Right.
we get good steak though and cheese. So I would like to sleep in until 8 a.m.
Wow.
Big doings. I would like to hang out with the family if it's nice out. We live a block from a park, so we like to take all the kids over to the park and play, do that. And then in the afternoon, I would like to go get a mani-pedi with my mom and then go out to dinner with my mom. That would be like my perfect.
Sounds
Mother's Day,
perfect.
I think. Yeah.
And then, do you, as the husband, do you think you do anything for? How do you?
I
see that?
tend to feel like it's her turn.
It's her turn, right.
Not just turn, but responsibility because
Yep.
it's her mother.
Yep.
But everyone poo-poos that to me, like, well, she's the mother of your child, that I should be doing something. So I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on it. I used to get Pam a gift every year for being your godmother because, she
I
doesn't-
usually get Pam a card or send her a
Yeah.
note every
That's
Mother's
so
Day.
thoughtful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I personally think that it's time for her to take that over because my mother is gone, long gone,
Yep.
and I get to relive my dinners with her through her stove here at the hot stove, our spirit stove. And I don't know. I just think that, again, going back to what I just said about the recipe passing down, I think there's something really charming about,
Yeah.
it's like watching Granny make ravioli, right?
Yeah.
So you learn that process before they go. We all are going to go.
I think some people are more into like the gifting aspect of holidays than I am. And so for me, Mother's Day is a lot more about spending time. I'd love to get my nails done and go out to dinner, but I'm not looking for like a piece of jewelry or things
Uh-huh.
like that.
How
that
about
I
a
think
cookbook? Laura's here
cookbook would
coming
be
up.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. I have my eye on a couple. So, so things like that for me are more what I want. And I think mom is the same way. Like, I don't think that she's necessarily, a bouquet of flowers is great, but to me, I'm not waiting on my like Tiffany box.
And
or
I'm not a
something.
flower person
Yeah.
because to me, you're just buying dead flowers. I know they still look pretty, but they're dead.
I love flowers.
They've been cut.
And mom loves flowers. So
Yeah, and she grows plenty.
Yeah.
For instead of me just buying a bunch of tulips, it's just like, to me, it's a cheap way out. Effort goes a long way, which is what you're suggesting, right? Effort to kind of spend the day or make something special. I think is more fun.
Yeah.
I just cleaned my glasses and they're worse. When we come back, Laura Hamilton is here. She's the owner of the Book Larder, a community cookbook store since 2011 in Fremont on 4252 Fremont Avenue North. So go over there, check it out, and maybe there's the perfect Mother's Day book. And when you bring the Mother's Day book to your mom, bring something that you made for her
Wow.
out of the book. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
We're trying not to clap, but it's hard.
habit.
It's habit. It's fine. I'm good. How are you? Yeah, thanks for coming. And you'll be up next, I think. Yeah. How about now? Yeah. Get y'all set up.
Were those your glasses?
I sent you.
Rory found them in the bottom of the ball pit.
Yeah. As we were wrestling.
Yeah. Hello.
Really? You chose granola over eggs Benedict?
I wasn't in
What-
the mood
what
for
kind
eggs
of person
Benedict this
are you?
morning. I ate pizza
Are you a
at, like, 9
communist?
o'clock. No, I ate pizza at like 9 o'clock last night. So I'm kind of like, I want some fruit.
A bowl of cereal at like midnight last.
I thought you said they had both. I just anyway.
Oh, no, meaning both.
Did you guys already have Omid Rustai?
Yes.
on? Okay, so I will not do this one.
He's actually coming on again in end of May to just talk through Tahdig and a master class in Persian food.
Great.
Laura.
Tom, what's this vacation you're taking? Where you going?
I'm getting old.
I
Yeah.
tried to come
Okay.
to the Wishbone Kitchen talk and it sold out in like 3
Yeah.
minutes.
We're
What the heck? I wanted
We
to
had
go
no
see-
Bigger
idea.
venue, yeah.
Well, sorry.
And Laura,
You're
did you-
welcome to move them wherever you want. Yeah. We're waiting to hear back from her about how much time she has, because hopefully we'll add a second event. We've looked
Jim-
at,
Are you at a bigger venue for this one, for her? Or just your place?
yeah, we tried to get a bigger venue. It's
Yeah.
just that time of year. The Seattle International Film Festival is going on, so like all those venues are booked, and town halls all booked, and yeah,
Always the Hot Stove Society.
everything's booked. Can you fit 500 people in?
Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
How many can you fit?
So we're doing it at Fremont Abbey, so that's
Oh,
like
okay.
250. Yeah.
Wow. And it's still sold out.
Oh, like
That
yeah.
is crazy.
Wow.
Oh no,
'Cause I
and we
was
had
on
no
there- I
idea.
was on there like pretty quick.
Yeah.
My daughter-in-law
The
texted me
publisher didn't
immediately,
know.
Loretta too. Yeah.
Because sometimes people have millions of Instagram followers, but that doesn't translate to people showing up for events, right? You just don't know, or TikTok or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Like how's Uma? Are they selling out?
Which one?
Sarah on with her mom.
But the interesting thing is we have tons of pre-orders from all over the place, people wanting the book shipped. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know,
I heard it on the
sometimes they
radio
don't
show.
have, yeah. Sometimes they don't have the local following as much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, who knows? It's doing great, but it's not like that. I mean, that's
Who's the big one selling out?
Meredith Hayden. The book's not out till May, and I don't
She's
have a
the
copy
new
of it
Martha
yet.
Stewart is kind of
Yeah, like-
Yeah,
She's
she's
like she's probably a little younger than me.
Wishbone Kitchen. She's like
Wishbone
28.
Kitchen. Yeah, she got famous on TikTok for being a private chef in the Hamptons. And she
Hamptons.
was documenting like being a private chef for a very wealthy family in the Hamptons and what that's like and stuff.
and she's classy.
Very classy, very nice. She's funny. Like she just has great personality for it. So
Yeah.
I really wanted to go see her talk because I followed her since that first
I
summer in
know,
the
huh?
Hamptons. But
But we'll see.
All right.
How do you want to do this? Do you want me to pass you things as they
Start where you want to start. The huge.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Four weeks in a row, we did a series.
Yeah, but that's a fantastic Mother's Day book. I mean,
Yeah. You're welcome to mention it. So.
yeah, no, I will mention it.
Wow.
And Xiao Qing's book too, I think is a great Mother's Day.
I don't think I've seen it yet.
This is May 2nd when this airs.
Great.
yeah, we had the one with Xiaoxing and her daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Feast of Good Fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. Everyone's enjoying breakfast. So good. I just had the eggs Benedict from Lola downstairs. Hit the spot.
I love a poached egg.
Do you?
I love them, and
I like a
don't-
medium though.
I don't make
personally.
them at home, and so whenever I can order them
On
out,
my
I do
trip
it.
to Scotland, they do a lot of poaching
Yeah.
of eggs over there. So I have that
Scotland.
with smoked salmon every morning for my breakfast. Laura Hamilton is here. She's the owner of the Book Larder, a community book cookbook store since 2011. You're in Fremont,
We are.
and you're on the east side of the street. If you're going up that, it's a busy little street there. So
Yeah. Getting
Fremont
busier all the
Avenue.
time.
And what's right across from you? The pizza place, right?
There
Lupo.
is Lupo, the pizza place, but also Paseo, the sandwich shop, is
Paseo, the
probably
sandwich place.
the
Yeah.
landmark many
If you
people
see
know of.
Paseo, turn your head to the right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and you'll see.
Or
us,
left, I
yeah.
guess that could be. East side of the street. As I mentioned in our opening, Mother's Day is a huge cookbook holiday.
Absolutely.
Tell us what the hot books are that we should be bringing our mothers. And do you agree with me that if you're going to buy your mother a book, you should cook something out of it and bring it with it?
Absolutely. I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Or if your mom is someone maybe like Loretta who wants to be more hands-on in the kitchen, maybe you offer to cook with her because she
Uh-huh.
might not want you to have made the thing that she would want to make. And I actually think the first book that I brought is great for that. This is Fat and Flour by Nicole Rucker. She is a Los Angeles bakery owner. This is very much, though, a home baking book, not necessarily a bakery baking
And
book.
what's the difference when you say that?
I think that because it's not, the recipes are not super complicated. They, what do you want that? Okay. The recipes,
Will you fix that?
He was getting the mic closer to your mouth.
okay. Do you want me to start again?
No, just, yeah.
Okay.
So what makes a difference between, you said a home recipe and a
Like a
commercial
bakery
recipe?
baker's book
Yeah.
versus a home baker.
So I think you don't have to be a very experienced baker to do a more sort of home baking sort of recipe. So you're not going to have multi-day processes. You're not going to need super specialized
Ah.
equipment.
Yeah.
You are not going to need very refined technique with everything at the exact right temperature when the ingredients come together, you know,
Right.
that sort of thing. This is full of cookies and quick breads and bundt cakes. She is an incredible pie maker.
Uh-huh.
And so there are 2 chapters of pies, fruit pies, and then like sort of pudding based pies. So this would be wonderful, like bake mama pie, bring it over, give her the book. And you're not giving her a super labor intensive book
Uh-huh.
if that's not what she's into.
Here's the book, and every recipe will
And
take
it's
you
not amazing that a woman would start a book out with the word fat. That's a little
She-
bit unusual.
Well, so besides proud of the fact that she cooks with fat, and fat is she has a
Fat being
specific
butter, right?
she has a method whereby you first start with the dry ingredients and then slowly in your KitchenAid, if you have one, mix chunks of butter in rather than creaming butter at the outset. And so that's part of it as
Ah,
well,
I
is
see.
that you put the fat in the
Hence
flour.
the fat plus flour.
My cousin
Exactly.
taught me that technique, and that's how she's a professional baker, and I'd never seen it before. And she says the flour then coats like every piece of the butter, and it better incorporates into your.
Huh.
Yeah, it makes a very tender cookie and a very tender pie crust, that sort of thing. So, and it is, you use that method in pie crust, right? So it's applying that to.
It's
other
amazing how
bakes.
many old wives' tales are out there that you would never think to challenge, right? Chef Terry and I used to go at that all the time.
Yeah.
Because he was that classically trained, and I was like, well, why don't you try it this way? And he goes, no. You know,
Yeah,
he's-
exactly.
Exactly. Okay, what's next?
So next we have salt, sugar, and MSG. And again, if you're leading with flat,
Brave
you're
with
calling out the
titles.
MSG, right? This is by Calvin Eng. He is a Cantonese American chef who has a restaurant in New York. And I brought this, I feel like is like, if it was Father's Day, this would be Tom's book. This is really wonderful Cantonese flavors mashed up with American flavors, things like BLT fried rice, the chicken wings. My store manager has made multiple times. They
Uh-huh.
are meant to be amazing. It's beautifully photographed. They're excellent step-by-step photos, really great descriptions of ingredients and what you should look for. And that he opens with like 8 of sort of the main, making those ahead of time because
Uh-huh.
they last and you'll have them on hand and then you're but it's really fantastic and just old and very much a tribute to his family as well. So
Ah.
again, why I think it makes
And,
a
you
great
know,
Mother's Day gift.
Another dangerous thing to have on the title is MSG because
Yep.
people are freaked out about it. But if you read the stories lately about how that all happened, it's kind of interesting that it was just one guy who had no scientific background just said something, and then all of a sudden the anti-MSG thing happened. So
Yeah, it's amazing how often things like that happen. But yeah, that one is especially egregious in my
Yeah.
opinion. But yeah,
I love that Kenji's on a crusade to bring back
Is he?
MSG. Yeah, he
Yeah.
keeps like has salt MSG blend as his salt, and that's what
Ah.
he uses. And every time he talks about it, and every time I'm like, man, I need to.
yeah.
I
Try
haven't
it.
used MSG as an ingredient forever. Since the Hotel DuPont cooking days back in the 70s for me, they used something from North Swiss called arrowroot.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that it was just MSG by another name.
That's thickener though.
Kapusta.
Kapusta is by Elisa Timoshkina. This is a vegetable-forward Eastern European cookbook. If your mother likes her cookbooks to be works of art as much as things that she cooks from, this is a wonderful choice. Elisa is a beautiful writer, and the recipes are wonderful. They are organized by main ingredient and then also sort of what they are. So there's a whole dumpling chapter. There's a chapter on cabbage, beetroot, potato, kind of the things that you expect to find in Eastern European cooking. The
beautiful.
photography is gorgeous. And then each of the chapters has one of these beautiful pieces of art, basically. That
Reminds
goes
me of
with
the
it.
old Chez Panisse art.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think the art is something that we're really seeing come back in cookbooks, which I love because photos are great, but I think the chance to show sort of other forms of creativity and other ways to sort of interpret the food is really something that's been missing for a while. So
Right.
I love seeing this come back.
I would expect to see a chapter on cabbage rolls. Is that true in
There
there?
are cabbage rolls in here.
Okay, good. I'm a
They're
cabbage
not a
roll
whole
nut, in case you don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's his
I did
favorite.
not know, but
Yeah.
I'll bet you the recipes are fantastic for that. But
I'm
there's
gonna check it
fritters, there's soups, it's just very comforting. And again, vegetable forward, which you don't always find in Eastern European
Right.
cookbooks. Yeah.
I am making cabbage rolls for 600. And I'm making a Yukon Gold potato and prune cabbage rolls, kind of based on the pierogi filling potato and prune. And so we'll see how people like it.
Oh my
Full
gosh.
vegan.
Full vegan.
And
Yeah.
Did you test them a lot? Was it hard to get there, or did you get
I
there? pretty
tested them a
quickly?
lot. The biggest change I made my testing was I went to a Yukon Gold instead of a russet, and it just changed the body of the filling tremendously.
Oh, yeah, that would
and
make a big difference.
It's bound with cashew cheese and vegan butter.
Delicious.
Look at
Oh
you.
my
Who
goodness.
are you?
Who knew this could happen?
Wow.
I didn't know you had
Who
it
knew
in
this
you.
could happen? Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Okay, Lugma.
Lugma, yeah. So this is written by Noor Murad, who used to work in the Ottolenghi test kitchen. So if you are a fan of Yotam Ottolenghi, you will definitely want to check out this book. And even if you're not, it's a wonderful book. She was raised by a British mother and a Bahraini father in Bahrain. And so while you might think, oh, Middle East, it'll be like lots of Middle Eastern cookbooks, it's actually more sort of Gulf cooking, which means it's got Southeast Asian influence, it's got South Asian influence, it's got Persian influence. There are tahdig sort of recipes in this, the crispy bottom rice. Again, she dedicates the book to her mother, and there is a lot of stories about her mother's influence in the way she cooks now. And it's really, really a delightful book that I think if you love Middle Eastern cooking, this will bring you some new ideas and some new inspiration.
Again, beautiful artwork.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And a graphic cover, which those are rare in the US, but they're making it through.
You know what I love is there's no paper cover on it, and paper covers get worn out
They
so
get so
fast.
worn out.
Yeah.
Also, there's a ribbon. I love a ribbon in a book
To
because
give
it's
you a
so easy
page
to just
break
go
kind
find
of-
your page.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
The last thing you were looking at.
It's
without-
funny when you deal with books every day how the structure becomes more important to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, in 14 years of doing this, just watching, I was a cookbook collector before that, obviously,
Yeah.
but just watching the books evolve. So, yeah.
Well,
All right.
one thing I want to mention before we run out of time is Uma. We had
Yes.
Sarah on the show for a 4-week series.
Yeah.
And what a perfect gift for Mother's Day.
That would be a
It's
wonderful
Uma
Mother's Day
is
gift.
mother in,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that book is 100% a love letter to her mother.
yeah.
And then finally, I've got Lucinda Scala Quinn, who used to work for Martha Stewart. Mother Sauce is the Italian-American book you need in your collection.
Really?
40 years of research that she and all their family recipes going back to her great-grandmother, who was an immigrant. And so every classic recipe you want is here, beautifully written and solidly written. She is an ace recipe developer. And so again, wonderful gift for a mother.
Is that the number one thing that people complain about with cookbooks is like the recipe didn't work?
That's actually become a little bit more of an issue. The publishers, as they are squeezed on the budget front, are not investing quite as much in recipe testing and expecting the authors to fund that.
Yeah.
And so, it has become a little bit more of an issue.
So that's one of the things when you buy from a small local shop like yourself and instead of Amazon or where you have no conversation really, I guess you could read the notes, but to me, that personal relationship with your cookbook seller is like, these recipes are perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
For
that.
sure.
Check out the Book Larder in Fremont, right on Fremont Avenue, and enjoy Mother's Day.
I can't wait. I want all
Moms.
of these. They're so awesome.
Which one out of that group are you going to jump on first?
I think mother sauce and the fat and flour.
Mother sauce, fat, and flour. I'd like to try a few of the recipes because I've never done the reverse on the creaming the sugar and the butter. So
Yeah.
I'd like to try that. Up next, crab cakes. What better dish to make? It's something I made for my mom all the time for Mother's Day. We're going to talk about how to accomplish the feat on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thank you. That was fun. Oh, sure. Oh, okay. Great. Do you want me to take books or just a picture?
Hey, Cam, can Peter hear? He's on Zoom. Can he hear what we're saying? Can you hear me, Peter?
We can go to him next if he prefers.
No. Oh, I've got audio off. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Peter. Can you hear me?
All right. If I have to. Okay. 2 weeks in Scotland, a week in Sicily, a week in Lisbon, a week in Porto. The East Coast for the first week. Okay. And then on our way back, we're going to the West Coast to ride along to a club.
Oh, great. Yeah. Oh,
Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, clear as day. Thank you. I know I just attached a real microphone to my computer and wasn't sure if it was going to work.
sounds
But I think
really
it's going to
good.
sound better than my
Sounds great.
AirPods would have.
Peter, we have one more segment before we get to you. Can you wait, or do you want us to jump segments?
I can wait.
Okay, we'll see you in a minute.
All right.
Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo Radio. We are loving our tribute to moms today.
Yeah.
So far, so good. We're making some pea and pancetta pasta. We are taking mom out possibly for a lovely mom and mom supper.
Yes, please.
And,
Mani petties.
Mani petties. We've already had a tribute eggs Benedict for breakfast. And Laura Hamilton, of all people, is eating yogurt and fruit.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, all that beautiful eggs Benedict. Just whatever you're feeling. Let's talk crab cakes for a minute. Loretta, you kind of grew up on crab cakes. My career is kind of based on crab cakes.
Yeah.
When I first moved here from Newark, Delaware, mid-Atlantic, about 40 minutes north of the Chesapeake Bay, in 1977, for God's sake, when I came to Seattle, there wasn't a crab cake to be found.
Okay.
Not one restaurant, not in the market, not in the grocery store, no crab cakes in Seattle. And when you would walk through the Pike Place Market, you would see mountains. You know, the pictures are famous of those stacked Dungeness on top of each other.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Huge piles of crab, snow crab, every kind of crab imaginable, but not a crab cake. And so when I finally put them on the menu, I was my first chef job. I don't even remember where it was, but I put them on the menu and they were instantly a hit and instantly spread around the city. Matter of fact, the restaurant across the street from me down at Cafe Sport, so it was a Cafe Sport, in 1984, the restaurant across the street from me called as a customer and asked me, would you share your crab cake recipe? And I said, well, sure. Just they're not difficult, but it's East Coast style, Newark, Delaware style. And I kind of shared the recipe. He was the recipe developer for the restaurant across the street.
That
I
is so
I showed somebody
shady.
the email, and I called him up and I said, I can't believe you did that. You stole my crab cake recipe, and you're literally across the street. He says, well, I'm going to send you $100 gift card. So he sent me $100 gift card for my
For real?
my recipe. For real, yeah.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Isn't that the funniest thing? Anyway, crab cakes. And I actually ended up writing a book called I Love Crab Cakes, 50 Recipes for an American Classic, which today we are.
Yes.
So Becky, what do people have to do to
Write in a favorite Mother's Day story, and you'll get a copy mailed to you, signed
Yeah.
copy.
doesn't need to be a tome,
No.
just a paragraph about why you love your mother and what maybe that you made for her
Yep.
annually or how
Your
you
tradition.
celebrated your tradition.
So if you can email BeckyG@TomDouglas.com by Thursday, May 15th with your address.
No. That's after Mother's Day.
Right. Because they might have some great Mother's Day stories. And then we can announce it at the next
okay.
week.
Your call. So anyway, so we're going to give away 10 of those books today from me to your mom. And if you're the mom, make it for yourself. Too.
I'm not giving that to my mom.
No,
Well,
you're not. Your mom's
you know what? I
allergic to
received
crabs.
that once for a birthday from my nephew, and my sister had bought all the ingredients, the crab, everything, put it in a basket. And then my
Really?
nephew, it was a great little artist, and he wrote all the crab, and he wrote the recipe on how to do it. And they included that in the I Love Crab Cakes book. And it was a
Ah.
perfect
That is
gift.
so sweet.
And
I
still
love
have
that.
it, and it's
Yeah.
darling.
That's very cute.
There's 50 recipes. I had to narrow it down from 100 to get
Wow.
to the 50. And I had asked friends around the country, Jacques Pepin, Chef Thierry. I had asked friends around the country if they wanted to participate and send their favorite crab cake recipe. So I have a bunch of those in there. Emerald's got one in there.
It's a lovely idea.
Yeah, and I traded them a room here at the Hotel Andra,
Uh-huh.
or is it downtown Seattle somewhere, and a dinner at one of our restaurants, and and $250, and nobody wanted the money. I gave them the choice,
Uh-huh.
They all wanted the dinner and the hotel in Seattle.
That's a
That's
wonderful
awesome.
experience. Yeah.
I don't think any's collected on it, but they wanted it. Essentially, they were just giving it.
Yeah.
Rick Yoder's got one from Wild Ginger in there.
Uh-huh.
What to you makes a good crab cake?
Well, when I asked my mother who makes the best crab cakes, fully expecting her to say she loved mine, what she said instead was, I do, as in she does. And I quoted her in the beginning of the book saying, I do. Because crab cakes are like curry. They're like anything else that has a family tradition. It's how you always made them. And in the mid-Atlantic, crab cakes are popular from the boardwalk to the boardroom. They're on every menu everywhere,
Yeah.
and they're considered high-end. They're considered low-end as a sandwich.
But I also think of those kind of mid-Atlantic crab cakes as a very particular style.
Yeah, I would say
Like
the Baltimore style is the dominant style.
The big ice cream scoop style.
Right, without a lot of breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it. I
Is
love
that
it.
how your mom made them?
She made them with breadcrumbs on the
Okay.
outside, and I always have. That's the way I was taught at the Hotel DuPont in Wilmington, Delaware. Chef Irby, 6'5", former Marine, used to, and he just looked like, oh my God. And he wear the big, tall, 12-inch toque. So 6'5" plus a 12-inch toque on
Yeah, he's
top.
towering.
It was towering, scary, Marine drill sergeant. And then when he would make the crab cakes, which we would make 400 of every day at the hotel, he would just have the most gentle hands. It was just amazing. And I wrote about that one time. I talked about it on the Today Show. I was on book tour and I was on the Today Show, I believe. That's where I talked about it. I talked about Chef Irby's gentle hands for this giant
They warmed
creature
his
that
heart.
he was. And his wife called me.
Oh,
He
cute.
had passed.
Oh,
And his wife somehow got a hold of me and said, thank you so much for honoring Jim. And
oh, that's so sweet.
isn't
I
that the
love
funniest thing?
Yeah.
You never know. Anyway, so gentle is key.
Okay.
When you buy crab meat at the store, especially like the pre-picked crab meat,
Mhm.
the bigger chunks are the most expensive part. And so if you're in there beating away on your crab cakes with you just break everything up. You've just paid, like literally if you were to take a pound of crab legs,
Mhm.
it'd be $150 a pound.
Mhm.
If you take a pound of crab meat, which is the mix of the back fin, front fin, body meat, everything, it's $45 a pound. So many groceries now $50 a pound. So don't beat it up.
Okay.
So whatever you're going to put together, you make your binder separate in a separate bowl.
Yep.
You mix it up, and you have your crab meat that you've picked through lightly, gently with your fingers, but not breaking it up.
Drained.
Nothing's better than getting a crab cake and all of a sudden a whole crab leg falls out of it, right?
Mhm.
One of those beautiful Dungeness
Yeah, pieces.
It goes right
big
in the
Maris
mouth.
crab. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So don't beat it up. So your crab is picked over for shells in one bowl, and your
and drained if you're using canned.
and drained,
Yeah.
right? And then your binder is in another bowl. And typically, for a crab cake, it has egg in it.
Mhm.
Some have breadcrumbs in it. The whole idea is that when you refrigerate them, they don't fall apart.
Yeah.
So I think of the Baltimore style crab cake as having no breadcrumbs. Although when I read recipes now, many have a ground up saltines as their
Interesting.
breadcrumb, but not a lot.
Okay.
It's just enough to create that.
To keep it together.
keep
a
it
bit.
together.
Okay.
And they use a little more egg and a little more mustard. I think of in Baltimore. And I want to say it's the Gulden's mustard. It's the brown mustard
Okay.
rather than like the French's yellow
Yeah.
mustard. And that's where I learned how to make crab cakes. But just north in Delaware, they always had breadcrumbs.
Okay.
So again, it's regional, as far as
crab
how they're
cake.
actually.
And maybe I think of Seattle as having ones with breadcrumbs because you kind of
I did it.
That-
Yeah. Well,
that's
I
what you
can't
did.
resist
Yeah.
when you pan fry it in whole butter.
You want that?
I want that
The
brown,
brown,
crunchy
yes.
on the outside because the crab cake itself is kind of mushy.
Mhm.
It's not a lot of texture there other than the crab meat, which
Yeah.
isn't a lot of texture. So I like that little crunchy brown edge on the outside of them.
I feel like this is giving me flashbacks because you would make 400 at the Hotel DuPont. And when I was a teenager and worked in our catering department, we had mini crab cakes on every one of our catering menus. And I've made thousands of
Yeah.
them with Annie, our chef here, probably is the one that taught me how to make the little mini crab
Uh-huh.
cakes for our catering.
And so
for
the big
catering.
thing when you're doing it to make them all the same size is to use an ice cream scoop.
Yep.
And scoop them out. If you're making minis, it's the 2-ounce
Small one.
scoop at the biggest. When you're making big ones, I use the 4-ounce scoop. And then you simply serve them with, on the East Coast, you always serve them with French fries or coleslaw type scenario. And that's it. They're just
One of the things that I learned maybe in catering is if you have a griddle instead of doing it in a pan, like then you can do them all at one time. You
at
don't
one
have to
time,
work
but they
in
also flip easier, right?
batches,
Instead of
yeah.
trying to get your
Right.
spatula
You don't
in.
have to dig in there.
Yeah.
So.
Because they're fragile. They
Yeah.
will break apart if you're not careful. So
So griddles for more than just pancakes.
In
Crab
my
cakes.
house, I use my griddle for everything. My little
she's got an
$12
electric
griddle.
griddle that she has on the side of the stove that is you're going to outgrow it. I saw you making something on there.
I
You
know.
couldn't even get enough on that
But I
griddle.
have a 4-burner stove and I have 3 kids and an au pair. So I
Wait till they're teens.
I gotta just keep it on the side and
yeah. So you're always cooking for 6 or more.
expand my cooktop.
Yeah. So make your mom some crab cakes. Win a crab cake book. Tell us again how you win the book.
Just write in email a story of your favorite Mother's Day story by
May 15th.
May
you said.
15th, and we'll mail you the first 10. We'll mail you a crab book,
All right.
signed and all.
But you have to leave your address or we can't get a hold of you.
That's a good point.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we got another hour to go here on the Hot Stove Society show. Peter Miller, filmmaker of Marcella, and the new documentary is going to be with us. We've got Spring Fever with Chef Sean. Food for Thought, Tasty Trivia is going to wrap things up right here on Cairo Radio 97.3 FM.
All right. Can you hear us, Peter?
I can.
Oh, awesome. How are you?
I'm good. That was fascinating. I've,
Do you wanna go make some
discussion
crab
of the
now?
variations of crab cakes I really never gave much thought to before. I just love crab cakes,
Me
wherever
too.
they are.
Are you a Dungeness or a blue crab guy?
I'm not that sophisticated. I just give me a crab cake and I'm happy.
Okay, awesome. So we'll do the first segment will be you, and then the second one we'll bring Liza on and talk about Marcella and bringing balsamic to the U.S. Sound good?
Beautiful. Perfect.
Ready, set?
Yeah. Oh, let me hit record.
Yes, please. Herb tea, please. Welcome back to the Hot Stove. Whoop, are you not ready?
Not ready. Okay, so if I can't record it. Okay.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society Kitchens here in downtown Seattle. We are excited to entertain Peter Miller. He's the Emmy, Peabody, and DuPont Columbia Award-winning documentary filmmaker, and he's delving into food. Becky, tell us about this.
Well, this is pretty exciting. Actually, Peter, you want to tell us about how you got into this?
Well, I've been making documentaries for a very long time. I've also been making dinner for a really long time. My wife and I are forever cooking at home. And our go-to cookbooks have always been Marcella Hazan's amazing cookbooks of Italian cuisine. Most nights I'll show up in the kitchen and look for a recipe. We've got something at the farmer's market. What would Marcella do with this? And Marcella has just been this presence in our life. About 5 or 6 years ago, it occurred to me that Marcella could be a great topic for a documentary film. She not only did she revolutionize the way that we make Italian food in America, but she had an amazing, eventful, improbable life. And so for the past several years, I've been telling the story of Marcella in a documentary, and now it's done and out and showing places. And I'm just so excited to share her story with the world.
And this is your first culinary film, is that correct?
I made a short film about the chocolate egg cream a few years ago. Which was my first collaboration with my kid. We started when she was 11, and then we finished it 12 years later because at some point she was an adolescent and didn't want to keep making a film with Dad. And then when she was 24, we wrapped it up. But that was my first kind of culinary. But this is really the first time I've really delved into food as a topic. And it's food, but it's also the story of a life. And Marcella's life is at the core of this story.
Yeah.
So did your approach change to storytelling with?
Well, I've made biographies of musicians and of other, and I've told stories of people's lives, but I've never told a story where it really became super important to film in a kitchen where I'm talking to people about Marcella's influence and about the recipes that shaped their world. And I thought, you can't do this unless you actually move your camera into somebody's kitchen and film them talking about her and talking about her influence, but also cooking. So we, put a bunch of folks behind the counter or at the stove telling her story. And what struck me was kind of amazing is that while they were telling these stories, they sometimes would get kind of choked up and emotional because connecting with her through food is a very different way of talking to people on film.
I would say I dated my wife over Marcella Hazan's book because she loved that book, Marcella's Bolognese, and swore by it, even though I would say, well, I don't really like the veggies cut that big or this or that. And she just would blow me off and just like, this is what Marcella says. And, when I've met Marcella, never without a cigarette dangling from her lips, I will say, with big, long ashes. I was always worried about it dropping into my food. She was a feisty one, that lady. She had dinner at my restaurant one time and just ripped me a note to tell you what it was that I was making. But we traveled the world and they were a force.
Victor's still with us.
Yes, yes, he is. And one more thing I wanted to say, Peter, I'm not sure where you live, but the last chocolate egg cream I had was at Barney Greengrass on the Upper West Side in Manhattan. Have you ever been there?
About 10 blocks from my house is where I am right now. And if you hear sirens and noise, it's because I'm on the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
Ah, you must know Ed Levine then back there.
He's a hero. He's a food hero of our town, boy.
Isn't he awesome? Yeah, he co-wrote my second book with me. What was your biggest surprise about Marcella in that I think we all think that we know her? What didn't we know about her?
Well, I share your feeling about her. She is a formidable force. Even without knowing her in person, if you read her books, you know that she's telling you what to do and not accepting that you're going to push back. I mean, she's right, and that's who she is. But one of the things that blew me away is that Marcella never cooked until she was married and had moved to America in her 30s. And she had been a scientist. She was trained. She had 2 PhDs in Italy. She was trained as a scientist and she was teaching science when Victor Hazan an expat, an Italian, from an Italian Jewish family that had to flee in the 1930s, had moved to New York City to get away from the danger. He came back to Italy after the war, fell in love with Marcella, and persuaded her to come back and live with him in New York. Whereupon he said, I expect you to have a meal on the table for me every day at lunch, as Italians do. And she's like, I'm a scientist. But she was very smart and very accomplished, and she reverse engineered how to make those flavors she remembered from home, and working with the limited ingredients that you could get in New York in 1955, taught herself how to cook Italian food. On top of that, Marcella had injured her arm severely as a child and didn't really have use of her right hand and was right-handed. So, how did she cook? How did she become the great cook she is? She did it through a sheer force of will and determination. I mean, she is really a force of nature.
And when she came to the U.S., she didn't speak English. Is that correct?
She did not speak English.
Wow.
And she learned to speak English by watching Brooklyn Dodgers games on TV. So some of her first words were like pitcher, ball, or catcher. She learned English, never learned English well enough to really be a TV star, but she learned English well enough. But when circumstances made it that she started giving cooking classes, and then Craig Claiborne of the New York Times wrote her up, and suddenly she became sort of a star. And then she got invited to write a cookbook, and which would become the classic Italian cookbook, her great masterwork. But her English was pretty middling, and she was married to Victor, who had gone to Harvard and is incredibly eloquent and had worked in advertising and was an unbelievably good writer. And so he combined his prose and her ideas, and the two of them collaborated to create these beautiful works of literature that are her cookbooks.
What a beautiful
So awesome.
combination. Yeah. What's your
Makes me
favorite?
want to go reread the book,
Yeah, exactly. What was your favorite recipe in the book for you and your wife? Is there one that brought you two
yes.
together, or did you argue about it?
Oh, it's really hard to say because we cooked hundreds of her recipes. I think that the go-to for a long time was her chicken with 2 lemons. You ever made that?
Chicken with 2 lemons. I don't think I ever did. Although she loved, I think she's the one who got lemon in the cooking in the States personally, because it just wasn't around much on the savory side.
So chicken with 2 lemons. The ingredients are chicken, 1 small chicken, 2 lemons, salt, and pepper. Nothing else.
No olive oil.
Nothing.
Wow.
No. And it's so good, this recipe. I mean, you sew up the chicken loosely with toothpicks, you put it in the oven, you follow her instructions, exactly what temperature, what side to turn it on first, and all of that. And when it's done, it is magnificent. It is a magical recipe. So magical, apparently, that any number of marriages began with a marriage proposal after somebody served chicken with 2 lemons to their honey. And it is just an amazing thing. That, and she's also very well known for a 3-ingredient tomato sauce, also unbelievably simple and zen, which is tomatoes, a can of tomatoes, 5 tablespoons of butter, and an onion cut in half, and salt, and that's it.
And then you remove the onion, right? You remove the onion? So it's just there for flavor?
Remove the onion. You put the onion in, you cook slowly for 45 minutes, and when it's all done, you take the onion out.
Well, Americans have this bastardized idea of what marinara sauce is. Same way I feel about guacamole. People make all this weird stuff in their guacamole when it should just be, in my opinion, salt, lime, and avocado. But the same thing happened with marinara. We would just add and add and add because more must be better, which is a very typical Americana thing to do.
Yeah, and one of the things Marcella did when she, started writing cookbooks in the early 70s is she taught us it could be really simple, but if you follow some really, time-tested techniques and use really good ingredients, then you can make food the way Italians make food.
Right.
So her recipes for making vegetables are unbelievably simple. Spinach, water, and salt, and some garlic. But the way she tells you to do it totally makes sense. And she tells it to you in a way that you believe because Marcella is, she knows what she's doing.
you're bringing this now on your documentary. It's going to be available May 9th on Amazon, Apple, and other platforms. It's going to be in theaters and streaming on PBS. When is that?
It's going to be streaming and in theaters May 9th, and then it's going to be on PBS in July on American Masters, which is their wonderful biography of creative people series. And it's and it's been for the past several months. We've been showing it in film festivals, and it's been really, every time I show it in front of a crowd, somebody gets up and says, "I took her class in Venice," or "I met her in New York," or "She yelled at me," or "I loved her," or "She yelled at me and I took her class and I loved her," because she's she one of the central stories of the.
We're always, at least we were around each other. And I think listening to what you had gone through, lost use of an arm, only spoke Italian, chain smoker, literally would light a cigarette with the last cigarette. She was not a Lilliputian, I'll say. Yeah, she was a strong woman, and strong women often get pilloried unnecessarily.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, look at Martha. Martha got pilloried over and over and over again. She just fought her way right through it.
it's inspiring. So, Peter, you must be very proud. How fun to do a documentary on a legend.
This has been one of the great joys I could ever. I mean, the one of the things that's been especially fun is meeting people, the kind of people who Marcella surrounded herself with, who are really deep thinkers, really interesting, talented people, and then they prepare a meal of hers on camera while I'm hanging out with them and asking about her life, and then when it's all done, we get to eat that meal.
Yeah, that's
Fun.
great.
So what's the matter with that, right?
Nothing's wrong with that. You're going to stay on with us for one more second. Eliza Wood's going to join us on the microphone from Chef Shop. We're going to talk for a minute about how Marcella introduced America to balsamic vinegar. On KIRO Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Excellent. So we're going to get the tasting running, and Eliza's going to jump on the mic in a moment.
Yay.
Good. They'll bring it out.
Eliza?
No, but so that we're in the right order. You bet. So, Peter, Ed and I have been friends for 30 years, probably.
Yeah, what was the book that you you did together?
He co-wrote with me Tom's Big Dinners is the name of it. I like to remind him it's my least selling cookbook.
We've had a
But
lot.
I also was an
of meals with Ed in New York.
original investor with him in Serious Eats.
Yeah, which is Serious really has changed our lives. It's an amazing thing that you've done. So thanks for that.
Yeah. And Kenji has gone on to just amazing things.
Yeah, Kenji's another mononym in our kitchen. It's like, what would Marcella do? And how does Kenji approach this?
Well, yeah, his scientific
it's interesting,
approach.
like that they're both scientists in that way, you know, like, or take that such scientific approach.
Okay, we're ready to go here, I think. Ooh, there's the reduced one. Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society show in Cairo. We're joined by Peter Miller. He's an Emmy, Peabody, and DuPont Columbia Award-winning documentary filmmaker who is just getting ready to release Marcella, his documentary on Marcella Hazan. We're also at our guest mic here in studio. Peter, are you in New York right now, Peter?
I am.
Yeah, so from New York and then locally here off of 15th Avenue down here, or you're on Elliott or 15th?
Elliott.
Because 15th
Turns into
turns at
15.
the Magnolia Bridge. We have Eliza Ward here. She is the co-owner of Chef Shop. And Liza, why don't you take us through a little bit about what we're going to do here today and the evolution of why balsamic has become, you can get it at Applebee's and you can get it at the finest Italian restaurants in the
You
world.
can sort of get it out. Yeah. So one of the reasons why Becky and I talked about doing this is that, of course, Marcella, being sort of the superhero of bringing authentic Italian flavors to America, she was very involved with the very first introduction of balsamic vinegar to the United States.
Uh-huh.
It was after her first book, and then she got together with Chuck Williams from Williams Sonoma and convinced him that he should import traditional balsamic vinegar.
And is that
Because-
always from Modena?
Modena or Reggio Emilia.
Okay.
So Modena and Reggio Emilia are two DOP regions for balsamico, but they kind of differ in their traditions as to what they consider to be traditional balsamic. And so when you're in the grocery store looking for balsamic, understanding sort of how balsamic is made and the difference between those two can help you decide what it is you're actually looking for.
Uh-huh.
So again, both in Reggio Emilia and Modena, they're two DOP regions, and the way that balsamic is made traditionally is that they take the grape juice, they cook it down into what's called saba. So they press it and then they cook it down and reduce it into saba. And how
Which
much
I love.
Yeah,
Me
it's
too.
delicious. It's like a nice pruny grape juice. And then they start the acidification process where they're going to put it in barrels. They're going to let it sit for a little while for that acidification, that fermentation into alcohol and then vinegar to happen. And then they start the process of aging it. So I think, Marcella always sort of said she regretted introducing balsamic to America, and and to understand why, I've always interpreted it as one of two things. Either, Americans, like, once they grab onto something, it's like the magic pill, right? And they're
Right.
like, oh, okay, everything
More
is
is
about
better.
balsamic,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so she regretted sort of the fact that Americans embraced balsamic vinegar to the dismay of a lot of other wonderful wine vinegars that are produced in Italy. But also, I think what you had stated earlier, which is that once Americans grab onto something, it often gets very bastardized
Uh-huh.
over time. And so I think that was also part of her regret. And so understanding, I think now we've kind of come full circle. The 80s were kind of a bad time for food from that perspective, I think, as it were for business fashion for women in the 80s. Kind of awful. You don't really want to look back then. But then once the DOP process of certifying what authentic foods were or are coming out of Europe in the late 1990s, we've kind of come now full circle where you actually have some actually pretty good choices in the
Yeah.
grocery store if you understand what you're buying.
And that certification included processes, not just the ingredient itself. So,
Yeah.
Peter,
exactly.
when you did your documentary on Marcella, did you run into this balsamic issue that she had?
Well, Marcella introduced a bunch of things that we take for granted now. She was the person who really promoted using extra virgin olive oil. She was the first person to tell Americans they should use Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. I mean, she was very much about saying there are these really great ingredients that Italians rely on, and we should embrace them. But then there was balsamic, which she recommended you use it as a tiny drop of flavoring. It's exquisite and subtle. You put it on your strawberries. My goodness, there's a recipe she does with strawberries with balsamic vinegar and a little sugar that is just so perfect. But then she looked around and people are putting it on their salad dressing and they're putting it on their pizza. You can go to the supermarket now and buy balsamic potato chips. It's just a mess. And I think Marcella was just, she would go to a restaurant and they would be serving something with balsamic in it, and she would just cringe because, like, what have they done with this beautiful ingredient that I introduced that they are sort of misusing? And when Marcella would cringe, you'd feel it.
Yeah, you definitely did. So one of the things I had asked for you is to tell us from when you go to the grocery store now, there's 15 choices of balsamic. You have no idea what to buy. Often people think that if it costs more, it must be better. Tell us the real deal, Eliza.
Well, cost does have something to do with it because quality and flavor and
aging
and all that takes time, which translates to money. So that's part of it too. I mean, you can use that as a marker for trying to figure out which is the best balsamic to buy. But some of it also depends on how you're going to use it. So when I talked about the process of making balsamic, there's a difference between what they do in Reggio Emilia and what they do in Modena. And what you're going to see in the grocery store often now is this Balsamica di Modena. And that's pretty typical of what you're going to see. But you need to understand that in Modena, one of the things they've done is they've distinguished between the Tradizionale, which Marcella is talking about when she's talking about this delicious, syrupy, deep, rich balsamico that she's going to put on her strawberries, and table balsamic. Table balsamic is actually a less expensive version. Not that it's not delicious as well, but it is also allowed within Modena's system to be called balsamico or balsamico di Modena. And the difference is that wine vinegar is added to the process at some point in the making. And so they have sort of a divergent system where they have the process for making table balsamic, and then they have the process for making a tradizionale, where in Reggio Emilia, they just make a tradizionale. Okay. So your clue is going to be looking on the label. So I've brought two makers here. One is La Vecchia, they're from Modena. And I bought a bottle from Trader Joe's to give you an example of what you're typically going to find. Now, these are IGP products, which means that they are sanctioned as being okay within the Modena system.
Right, because even the Trader Joe's says of Modena.
Yeah, of Modena, and it will have a little IGP label on it, as opposed to DOP. DOP is a little more strict. It means that the ingredients have to be grown in that region, and it has to be produced in that region, the product or the ingredient, and it has to be bottled in the region. Or IGP, they can use, for example, grapes that are grown outside of Reggio Emilia or outside of Emilia-Romagna, or Modena, in this case, the state of Modena. And that's okay as long as it's produced within Modena and using sanctioned, techniques.
But generally, it's all the same grape varietal. So we only have 2 minutes left. Why don't you tell us the price issues?
So if you're making, it depends on how you want to use it, and it depends on what your flavor profile is that you're looking for. If you're making like salad dressing, you may not want to go for the most expensive tradizionale because it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a red seal right here, which is actually from Reggio Emilia. That's going to be $119 for 100 milliliters. You don't necessarily want to use that for your balsamic,
like fancy olive oil. You want it where it shines.
And then when you're using a table balsamic, because there's wine vinegar added, there's going to be a little bit more of an acidic bite and a little less concentration of sugars. So it's going to be a little bit actually more balanced in the acid and the sugar, and a little less heavy on the sugar. But it's not traditional balsamic, right? It's not the tradizionale.
Right.
So really, it's about how you're going to use it and what flavor profile you're looking for and what your pocketbook tells you. So if you look at the label, one of the key distinctions between the one from Whole Foods and the ones we sell is that Whole Foods, the wine vinegar is the first ingredient and the grape must is the second. On mine, the grape must is the first ingredient and the wine vinegar is the second.
Grape must being the Saba. And is it one particular grape?
No, there's like six.
Trebbiano,
there's like Trebbiano. I can't. There's like 6 different sanctioned varieties of grapes that are allowed in balsamic.
Peter, I can't wait to see this documentary, Marcella, and I wish you the best with it. Come back anytime. We love having you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
We'll be using balsamic properly in honor.
Yeah, moving forward.
First, you
I
know.
will not put fig balsamic on my pizza anymore.
Yeah, you
will.
come down. And by the way, they can come down and taste. The balsamics are going to be in our tasting bar now. So if anybody wants to come down and taste before you buy, so you
Thank
can pick the one
you.
you like the best.
I think
That's
that's
so
awesome.
awesome. Tasting
way
is
to
great.
shop. As you know, I'm a big fan of your shop, and it's because of things like that. I think during Christmas, how many of the breads panettones did you have out? Like a dozen, right? to
Oh,
taste?
yeah, at least.
Yeah, at least.
And we have Columba coming up too, but it'll be past, I think, by the time you guys hear this. But we have a Columba tasting this weekend.
All right, go down and check out Chef Shop down on Elliott Avenue, right by the Magnolia Flyover. On Cowboy Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Well, thank you, Peter. That was awesome.
That was so much fun. I
Oh,
want to do this
sure.
every day.
Well, when you come to Seattle, just come to the show.
I come to see
I
Ed
will-
once in a while. We're going to call you.
By the way, I just learned that the film's going to be showing at the Orcas Island Film Festival.
Wow.
So I forgot. I have the date here, but so it's coming near you. And of
can
course,
look
it's
it
like the day after I'm showing the film at the Smithsonian in Washington.
Oh,
I
that's
cannot possibly
exciting.
get there on time, but it's lovely. So it's getting closer to you.
Smithsonian.
We'll see.
That's
It's
awesome.
April 25th at Orcas Island.
That's just a 40-minute float plane ride away from here.
Exactly. I timed it. I was like, 2.5 hours. I don't think I could actually get there from Washington the night
No.
before, but
No, we got to go by float plane. That's the best way.
that sounds completely delightful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Let me know if there's anything else you need of me, and if you need pictures or anything like that to promote your show on.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. Ciao. Bye bye. Bye, Eliza.
Bye.
Bye. Good to see you.
Okay. We're going to have a little break before, and then I guess you're coming back on for trivia. Is that? Did I read
If
that
you'd
wrong?
like to, I didn't have.
Oh, no,
anyone
no,
pick,
I'm
but
sorry. I thought-
does-
I'm sorry.
If you'd like to, whatever. We usually wait till last minute and see how it feels. So if it feels right, go for it. No, I just did a generic.
If you're ready to go, I'm sure we have lots of people that can do trivia if you're ready to go. So you decide. All right. Sean, are you ready? I imagine those will be on the tasting bar later today, right there.
Yeah, there's 100
Sean's
here.
going to sit there for this segment,
Oh, there
and
you go.
then
What is this last?
Yeah.
we're not on trivia quite one segment away.
You'd like to do it, then you can right, Sean. What was this last
I always have a hard time believing the Nazis didn't find the aged balsamic,
brand? But I mean, that's amazing.
Eliza.
What's the very last one?
I always have a hard time believing the Nazis didn't find the 100-year-old balsamic.
Very last one is that one.
Thank you. That was my amazing.
You believe it? You believe it's really 100? Is it a Solera system?
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Ah. So I'm very skeptical about things like this. Is it a Solera system or is it?
Well, Solera is more.
Put my hand
Yeah, you're back with your.
Yes, so that is.
Yeah.
Tastes like Mussolini.
Of course, not every drop is a
Well, see, that's where we have trouble. Thank you.
Not every drop is 100 years.
Wow. Got nice acid. Surprising.
Wow. Wow.
All right. You know, it's springtime here at the Hot Stove Kitchens, and as we do with every one of our restaurants, we try to acclimate ourselves to the seasons. I'm Tom Douglas,
I'm Loretta Douglas.
and Chef Sean McFadden is sitting down in the guest chair here. He's one of our instructors here, and also a technical wizard over on the AV system.
Thank you for having me.
Sean, you've got a big spring class coming. My
Yeah.
first thing in my head, I think for spring, what I look forward to the most is asparagus.
Oh,
And I
love
follow it. I even cheat sometimes, follow it up from California and right here into Eastern Washington. But I try not to, but it's hard. And
Yeah.
I like the big fatties.
Totally. Well, I think the best asparagus, and maybe I'm wrong about this, we got was from Prosser Farm when we got those totes.
Our friends, the Crawfords, Connie Crawford,
And we got the big,
Big
the
fatty
thick as
big
your
guys.
Well, the big
thumb.
fatties I like because you can peel the bottoms.
Yeah.
So you save a lot of waste by just peeling the white part off the bottom. And then they go on the grill so perfectly that you
Grilled
can get
asparagus.
you can get
is-
And they
char
don't
on
fall
that one.
between your.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
but the fatties generally won't even fall. My point being is you can get a char on the skin without overcooking the inside.
Exactly.
Really bigger.
Grilled
Because when you try
asparagus
to
is, I think,
grill the little pencil asparagus, we call it pencil grass.
yeah,
It's hard not
it
to
just
overcook
turns
them.
into
Yeah.
And that's what I find at
Ball of string.
restaurants. They're typically over grilled to get
Yeah.
that char, and they're just
Yeah.
overcooked.
yeah, totally. And I mean, grilling is one of those things that just reminds us all of spring, and I think that's a great way to, this class. I don't know if we're having asparagus. Maybe we should work it into the pasta.
I think so.
'Cause, yeah, why not? We're
why
doing
not?
a pasta alla gricia, which is similar to amantriciana, and just a very simple pasta rendered. Thank you. Rendered guanciale, which is another ingredient I don't know if people know enough about because it's so
Pork
delicious.
jowl, right?
It's
Yeah.
just like,
I was
Uh,
talking about one earlier that I can get at a local grocery. Town and Country I know has it from Smoking Goose. I
Oh,
brought
yeah.
one here. I don't
Yeah.
know if did you try the one that I brought here?
I don't know. I don't think
I just
so.
thought it was a great product.
I like
Yeah.
the pro tip on it.
And you want to get good guanciale. I don't know that I've had bad, but I don't know that they really, it's not like bacon where usually if you find guanciale, it's of a good quality.
Yeah.
Or at least,
You know what I would do if I were you, since you work here at the Hot Stove?
what's that?
Tiptoe across the street when Tony's not looking and take one out of the serious pie
I might take that
meat
advice.
locker that's
Yeah.
aging over there right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Just tiptoe. He won't
yeah,
hurt you.
I didn't know we were making our own guanciale over there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it. So yeah, a simple pasta dish. I think anytime pasta's a good just base to kind of like build, in this case, the season around. So we're going to have some fresh vegetables, some sugar snap peas. I think that'd be a great one to maybe put some nice asparagus in there. Let's see what else. We're starting off with some carrots, dates, olives, and frico. So we're kind of, semi-Italian.
Have you
Kinda
ever
here,
had
but-
carrots? You said carrot sticks, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had
dates
carrots?
and olives.
Have you ever had carrot sticks that were wintered over?
I think I had some parsnips.
Jackie did that a few times at the
Totally.
farm.
And that's probably where
they're
it
like
happened.
candy.
Yeah, they're a lot sweeter.
Yeah.
And that's another, beautiful kind of life hack that I don't think a lot of people know about. Those overwintered root vegetables are still viable and a lot more, flavorful.
And they're
like you
overwintered
say.
in the ground, by the way. It's not something that she keeps in a root cellar. She actually
Right.
keeps hers
It has
in the
to
ground.
kind of, and that
Yeah.
sweetens it, kind of intensifies things a little bit.
Sean, what's frico?
It is sort of a crispy Parmesan chip. It
Ooh,
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good and
Yeah.
Sounds good.
addictive.
I feel like you used to see it all the time back.
I did never know.
Maybe mid 2010s.
Uh-huh.
You'd see it a lot. And just another like little crispy thing. You can cook them off in advance and kind of they stick around for a little while so you can have them in your pantry ready to go. Or it
Yeah,
just makes
those would never last in my pantry.
yeah, exactly. It
You
just
can
adds
buy
a
them in the
great,
store sometimes now. That
Yeah.
they became very popular as a food
Exactly,
item
yeah.
in the deli department.
just adds a little, crunch, a little salt. Very delicious. And then we're going to do an Applewood smoked pork shoulder because I think you got to, I kind of wanted to focus around the grill, but being here, we, at the warehouse, we have this beautiful outdoor grilling facility. And here we're kind of scaled down. So I didn't want to, have this all revolve around the grill. But smoking is one of those things that just being outside or, a lot of people are getting into smoking at home. I think that was just, for me, one of the flavors, one of the things I love about spring and summer.
And sharing a technique and inspiring people to try something new.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
One of the things you have to worry about with Applewood when you're smoking is that, especially when it's green, like right now in Eastern Washington, all the trees are getting pruned, right? They're getting, well, it might even be that's already done, but they have a lot of green Applewood around. Going to cook something for like a smoked pork butt for 5.
Right.
Whereas you might want to go to hickory or
Yeah.
that doesn't give you, because Applewood would literally, if you're in a kettle, like a Weber kettle,
Yeah.
it'll literally leave a tar on you'll see it
Oh.
dripping off
wow.
the
Yeah.
dome of your kettle.
Okay.
Kind of funny.
Interesting.
We'll have
And,
to
Maybe
and
we
it
should-
gets acrid. It gets
Yeah.
super acrid.
Maybe change
Yeah.
the class to wood smoked instead of
No,
apple.
no, Applewood's
Good.
fine.
When
It's
it-
not too much.
When
right?
it's aged and
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Done
when you
properly.
Use it
Yeah.
Fresh applewood.
sparingly.
Yeah, I mean, I used to tell because I worked the grill at Dahlia for the longest time, not the longest time, several years, but I would tell people the best ingredient we have is that applewood smoked
I
grill
know,
because there's
isn't it?
nothing else like that. And still going to the Palace, things like that, and getting that burger, like you can put whatever you want onto it, but you're really not going to go around the fact that,
People don't think about it like you just said, that it's an ingredient in your flavor
just
profile.
like salt or pepper.
Yeah.
The lovely thing, you could throw whatever, you could just, any vegetable, meat, you throw it on there and you just get a little extra something.
Yeah.
It just kind of elevated it.
And
But-
applewood will do that much quicker than, say, mesquite charcoal will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah, and then we're gonna finish up with a mint pavlova, poached rhubarb, and spring pea cremon glaze, which is hopefully not too much for everyone. I wanted to push for a white chocolate.
Fresh mint, or is it just a mint extract?
I believe this was sort of Annie's idea. A frugal genius that she is,
Yes,
she
she
wanted
is.
to take the cremon glaze and use those. So it's a balanced thing.
Frugal genius, is that?
Well,
Are you looking for a
that's
raise?
kind of-
What's going on here?
kind of a nice way of saying she's cheap.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we all are. But
I
yeah,
bet
no,
she's steeping it. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
I bet
Right,
She's
okay,
going to steep
steeping
fresh mint.
But in the mind of thinking like a cook and a chef, she kind of wants to make use of that. So I thought that was a great idea to kind of take that, make the pavlova cake with the whites, and I think we'll go with fresh mint. Yeah, just
The only issue with fresh mint is it blackens quickly
Right.
when it's cut, and
Does.
either it has an acid on it or it will just turn like not a very pleasant color.
indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to maybe make a syrup or something.
Yeah, that's
work
what
around for
typically
that.
Well,
you
there's
would
simple
like
syrup,
infuse.
maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just infuse the mint into either the cream or, whatever you're using that way, and then pull it out.
Maybe
so
whole,
that way you don't.
and then pull
yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Well, you could take literally your mint stems or your sprigs that you're not going to use, puree it with your cream, and then strain it, and
Okay.
you'll get the most mint oil. I mean, what you're trying to get is the mint oil, right? That's
Yeah,
really the
yeah.
strongest flavor, and that's what makes it delicious.
absolutely. Yeah.
So how long do you know yet? How long you're going to have to put your meringues in the oven to get that nice pavlova crunch? Because that's really key, right? To be able to whack that sucker and have it snap.
Is it a low and slow, or is it a?
Yeah.
Usually it's low and slow, and then I always do it with a wooden spoon in the oven door so that it cools really slowly.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And
Dehydrating
that way
it
it
or something.
doesn't crack.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember my mom would make them there was a cookie, and then she would just turn off the oven and leave them overnight, and I'd get up the next morning and just go steal them. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I came
Yeah.
to liking them later in my life. I was never a meringue person. And for me, it was going to Paris and eating at La Dre and having the
The
macarons.
macarons, yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh wow.
Macarons,
Macaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I liked meringue.
Well, and so the thing, we kind of get like the reduced American version, like the sort of industrialized version of everything. And it's when you go back to the origins of things, you realize just how, why we have those things.
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
it's I'm not sure what part of the world it originated. I'm guessing France, but it could be someplace else. I know Peter Sipra, who was Czech, always had him on his menu at La Buznik, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't. I don't know if they had those in Czechoslovakia or not, but he was a very
Totally.
traditional cook.
Yeah.
It was like the Portuguese, the pastel de nata, that came, it's all egg yolk. And they used, the reason they did that is because they used all the egg whites for washing their clothes, and they had to come up with something to do with the yolks.
Ah.
So,
It's kind of what the
I
situation
tell yolks
we're
all
in.
the time.
yes, you do.
My goodness.
Oh, come on, that was funny.
That was funny. So, Sean, what inspired this? Was there a cookbook or something that you were? I know you
Oh,
love
yeah.
spring.
Thank you for bringing that up. This was sort of inspired by, we all love, I think, spring in Seattle.
So exciting.
Especially. We all kind of get the spring fever. I especially do. Cooking, being in that world, seeing the fresh, there's all these sort of hidden gems, green garlic, spring onions. But also I kind of was referencing a book by Joshua McFadden, no relation.
Spelled differently?
On a
It
Portland,
is.
right?
On vegetables.
Yeah, but he's
And-
from Portland, I think.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So great chef, and the book is divided up. Actually, there's a book called Six Seasons that's similar, but this is sort of by vegetables, and it's just a great resource for
And
anyone who's.
yeah, what does he mean by 6 seasons?
Well, I think he's talking about kind of the transitional seasons. Like there's sort of, I would say,
Shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. Good. That's a good term. There's times when things are in full bloom, so you're kind of transitioning, whether you're pickling or you're taking things early, sprouts, greens, and things like that. So I think that's kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
My favorite season for transitional is right now
yeah,
because you're so desperate after winter for anything. So the little robs, the tops of the brassicas that are just coming out now, snipping those
oh yeah,
little things
yeah,
that
totally.
you can just
Anything
grow up a
fresh.
tree.
Spruce, always, get to cook like that or have the opportunity to always eat like that. So I or push in that direction
Mhm.
would be great. And we always try to cook certain recipes, certain things that, we might need canned tomatoes. As you say, canned at the peak of freshness rather than having them grown in the lab will do it a lot of benefits as well. So just
Canned
kind of,
tomatoes right now are probably better than a fresh tomato. That's my
Right.
guess.
Yeah, exactly.
In April,
the rubber ones.
at least around here.
So
Yeah,
Sean's
yeah,
class is
absolutely.
on May 9th.
Yes.
And it's called Spring Fever with Sean McFadden.
Indeed.
All right.
Yeah,
Looking
thank you guys so
forward
much
to
for
that.
having me.
Looking forward to that when I'll be in Europe
All right. Well, I'll keep you updated.
on the golf course.
Rough life.
We know.
Up next, Spring Fever. No, up next, it's time for Food for Thought Tasty Trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs right here in the Hot Stove Kitchens on Cairo Radio 97.3 FM.
Okay. Stay here. Do it.
Oh my God, are you going to know how to take a photo when it's not coming this way? Yeah.
In
Wow, what a shot. Super hot.
Sean.
So go ahead and get on up to the mic.
Hi. Hi. Thank you, Cam, for checking every microphone every time.
Okay.
Stay right on that,
I got to wrap
Eliza.
my head around it like this.
No, you
This
don't.
is-
You don't. Unless you're going to stay there, you can't do that.
Yeah,
Can't
you
do
don't
that.
want to.
Straight on and
Did you get a little upset stomach from all that vinegar? Or are you doing good?
it's so
Did you have a
good.
favorite?
You got to have something in your stomach, that's for sure. Yeah, that seems to be the ubiquitous favorite.
Really?
Is the
Which is
San
the-
Giacomo. So the
That's the red label one.
yeah, because that's a true balsamico that does not have. If you're just
Yeah.
tasting it straight out of the jar, that's going to be the sweetest, most complex, and undiluted wine vinegar. But if you're making a vinaigrette out of it, you might want some of that. You might want a more acid overtone and balance to your
Yeah.
balsamic. Just depends on what you're doing.
Back in the day, I used to just take, when I was cheap, I would take Trader Joe's balsamic and just reduce it for a long time.
So we have the thick syrupy kind here too, but I didn't put that out. That's what the spoon was supposed
what I
to be
always
for, but
see
the
at
segment went so fast.
Costco.
But yeah, you could do that, or you can buy a thick syrupy kind. It's actually I don't know.
Nona Pia at Costco.
So are any
Yeah,
Are
you can buy it
any,
by the gallon.
are any traditionally dehydrated in the barrel so that they just
Yes, that's what happens over time is they dehydrate more and more. The key in the barrels is that you want to keep that 2/3, 1/3 ratio of air to vinegar. And so they're constantly blending the vinegar and combining barrels to keep that proportion there because that's how they keep the vinegar stable apparently. And the flavor is going to come from the wood, right? So more time it spends in the wood, the more flavor you're going to get. But yeah. What was the original question?
that was it. Because I think of reducing it on the stove, like somebody
Yeah,
just said.
just
That to me is whenever you cook something that long that it takes to reduce it. I don't know that you're helping it any.
No, I think you're
from a
impacting the
freshness
flavor.
perspective. Yeah,
So
you're getting
that-
the syrup,
so-
but you're
So the thick syrupy kinds that you get in the grocery store, most of those are made by actually cooking down the saba more, like reducing it by 70% instead of like 30%.
right.
To get, so they're starting with an extra thick consistency and then putting it through the process. Oftentimes they only age it in oak, so they leave the bigger barrels. They leave it in the bigger barrels, so there's more evaporation as well, so it makes it thicker. But you're gonna, if you take a cheap vinegar balsamic and reduce it down, you're not going to get the same level of flavor, and
Right.
you're going to impact the flavors by cooking it down.
That's the part that I was.
yeah, I'd be concerned with
Yeah.
that. And
Well,
but
now I purchase it.
like you could take them to the 12-year, which is the second to last one, and you could reduce it down to get the thick syrupy kind, but you're spending a lot more money than
Right.
if you buy the 30th anniversary that's made to be thick.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, final segment. Thank you for joining us today. Rub with Love will help your. Fix that. Rub with Love will help you shower your mother. Okay.
Carol, he's loving it.
Let's not say that.
That's pretty funny.
Buy your mother some Rub with Love.
What's wrong with shower your mother with all the love she
Will
deserves?
help you shower your mother. That's what's wrong with it. Will
Oh.
help you shower your mother
Will help shower.
with all the love she deserves, whether she wants it or not.
Oh, funny.
Okay. Rub with Love spice rubs are the perfect gift for Mother's Day. You can shower her. Rub with Love is the perfect gift for Mother's Day. We have lots of different flavors. My thought on flavors for Mother's Day would be the fish taco rub, which is real citrusy, mild chili. Goes great on greens, on fish, and on tacos. Fish tacos. You can pick some up at Chef Shop or your local PCC, Hagen's, Thriftway, QFC, Met Markets, or Town and Country Market stores right in our neighborhood. But it's sold all across the country in shops, the best shops, and of course online. Becky, let's play Food Tasty Trivia,
Yes.
and let's have me win.
Okay, we'll give that a try.
Okay.
So we've got Eliza Wood from Chef Shop, who's been here.
Ward.
Sean, can you redo that, please? We've got Eliza Ward from Chef Shop here. She'll be the second contestant. She's played before. So all you will get 5 questions, and the winner will pick out someone in the audience to go to the gift shop and pick up a 3-pack of Rub with Love spices.
And it looks to me like she's got a lifeline happening live on the phone
Think she's cheating?
to help out a bit.
Sorry.
All right, well, let's start with Loretta. This one's fill in the blank. What is chef and author Samin Nosrat's 4th pillar of her cooking philosophy?
Heat.
Salt. Oh my gosh, you nailed it. Good job. Have you seen any of her documentary? Have you seen the Netflix series at all?
I've seen a couple of them, yeah, but I haven't used the book.
And
Yeah.
why is that a pillar?
Salt, Acid, Fat, Heat is her book.
The
And
4.
those are the 4 pillars of cook. Her 4 pillars of cooking.
Cooking philosophy, yeah.
Yes.
All right, good job. Number 2, can you make white wine with red grapes?
Yes.
You can. A classic example is Blanc de Noir champagne made from red Pinot Noir grape. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just had that
Oh, you
a
did.
couple days ago.
Loretta, you're on a roll.
Typical is Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and
Yeah.
Pinot Meunier. Would be
Meunier.
a typical champagne mix.
You just like take the skins off.
No, they just don't let it sit on the skins.
They press them, and so they never
Gotcha.
in contact for such a short amount of time. Number 3, what cruciferous vegetable, often riced or roasted as a grain substitute, is known for being mild in flavor and nutrient dense?
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower. Okay, number 4, what beloved
3 for 3, is that?
Yeah.
She's on a roll.
She's on a roll. What beloved naturally gluten-free corn cakes have been a staple in Venezuela and Colombia since pre-Columbian times, often stuffed with vegetables, cheese, beans, or meats?
Arepas, pupusas.
You got a arepas. That's
Okay.
yep, that's great. We're on 4 out of 4. So number 5, which seed-based spice gives your rye bread its signature flavor and also appears in Indian blends like garam masala?
Caraway.
Wow, 5 out of 5.
5
Good
out of
job,
5.
Loretta.
Boy,
Nice.
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?
We're going to find out.
Oh. You don't say that when I go
I
like
know,
1 out of 5.
exactly.
You're taking credit?
Why not?
Okay, why not?
I paid for the education.
There you go. Okay, Eliza Ward from Chef Shop.
Thank you.
Number 1, what is the name of the knife technique that produces a fine ribbon cut of leafy herbs like green basil?
Chiffonade.
Chiffonade it is. Number 2, oh, you're going to know this. True or false? White, black, green, and pink peppercorns all come from the same plant.
Red peppercorns, I think, come from a different plant.
The pink ones, you are right.
Yeah, the pink ones. The red ones.
Because the Black, white, and green are all from the same.
Yep.
Okay, good job. Number 3, what soft licorice-scented herb is often used in French cuisine and béarnaise sauce?
Anise?
Tarragon.
Oh, tarragon.
I was-
Herb, not spice.
Okay, number
Can't believe you got that wrong.
I know.
Number 4, what is the name of the French technique that involves repeatedly folding dough to create flaky layers for croissants and puff
Now,
pastries?
what's it called, Tom? I'm not a French chef.
I know it's croissant dough, but I don't know what the turn is called. It's where you
Well-
turn and fold, turn and fold.
I don't know what the French word is. It's laminating.
I don't know what the French
but-
word is.
It's an English word.
Laminating.
Laminating.
Oh, the
Yep.
laminating?
Ah,
Yep.
I wouldn't have gotten there.
Oh, you wouldn't?
Well, I know they're called laminating dough.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
laminated dough.
Yeah, that's the
but that's
It's
lamination,
the folding
yeah.
and the putting
Yeah.
in them.
final question. True or false? The 5 in Chinese 5 spice refers strictly to the number of spices in the blend. Is that true or false?
You know, I always thought that was true, but sometimes I look at 5 spice and it's got like 7 spices on the list.
So it's false?
So
version
I
has
would.
12.
What's that?
My version has 12.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the 5 main spices that are always in there, but I'd say that's maybe false.
It is false. It refers to the 5 fundamental flavors of Chinese philosophy.
Gotcha.
Sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and pungent. So there you go. 4 out of 5. Good job.
Who knew? Way to go, Eliza. Not
Okay,
bad.
you got to get 5 to tie with your daughter.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'll never hear the end of it if I don't.
Number 1, one of the spices traditionally found in Chinese 5 spice blends create a distinctive numbing citrusy sensation on the tongue. What spice is it?
Sichuan peppercorns.
Yes, you got it. Number 2, true or false? Back in 1947, the first microwave oven was much smaller than the ones we use today. Is that true or is that false?
I was not born in 47. Hate to break it to you. Why would I know this? And why is it important to me? I'm going to say, you're saying they were much smaller?
Yeah, they were much smaller.
So I'm going to say they were much smaller.
Well, that's false.
You totally lied me into that.
The first commercial microwave, called the Radar Range, was actually much larger. It stood 6 feet tall and weighed more than 750 pounds.
I feel like it's
About
like
the size of me.
There you go.
the first
much smaller.
computers that were like a whole room.
Yeah.
Right, right. Number 3, name a traditional Moroccan dish where preserved lemon is a key flavoring ingredient.
Boy. I know there are a lot of in tagines, but also, there's preserved lemon in harissa too.
Yeah.
Which I don't think people think of harissa as just as a pepper paste, but sometimes it
That's
has
a good point.
preserved lemon and cumin in there too. So
You got it.
Thank you.
The tagine is perfect. Chicken tagine with olives and preserved lemon is kind of,
and it's tagine, it's not tangine.
there's no answer.
Just so
Did I say tangine?
No, you did not.
No,
But a lot of people do.
Oh, don't do that. Tagine.
Drives me crazy.
Okay, number 4. Where did the daiquiri originate? Would you like options?
In Newark, Delaware, my dad made them for my mom. That was the only thing she drank for a while, and she didn't drink much. But he made her a daiquiri, and I'm going to say it originated in Newark, Delaware.
Okay. Well, it actually came from Cuba back
Just
in
like the mojito.
1898 because they ran out of gin, just like the mojito. Yeah.
There you go.
I thought she drank
She drank.
grasshoppers.
She drank. Well.
Oh, that's right.
They vary through her life. They always had a 4-ounce glass of Mogan David with their spaghetti supper, Concord grape wine, and then every once in a while she would have a Pink Lady, which I
What's a
couldn't even.
Pink Lady?
I think it's a Brandy Alexander with grenadine.
Okay.
Is my guess. And once in a while they would have a daiquiri.
Great.
But they didn't drink that. When I say once in a while, it was once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Special occasion.
Yeah.
Final question: which smoky
I
raisin?
think she only had 8, knowing that she had 8 children.
That's funny. Which smoky raisin-like Turkish chili is prized for its mild heat and deep umami flavor, and is often used in rubs or sprinkled over roasted vegetables?
Aleppo.
Urfa.
Urfa.
Urfa Bieber. All right, Loretta, you
Is
are
that a
the
pepper or is that a
It's a
spice
pepper.
blend?
It's a pepper.
By itself, a pepper.
Hmm.
Well, I guess that means
I would've-
Loretta. You have to say it.
I would have guessed Aleppo too, Tom.
If you want to be
You
part
can't
of
give
the
it to
show
me.
and can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co., or just buy a ticket and join us here like these lovely ladies did today, and have a delicious breakfast right here in our studio at hotstovesociety.com. Our show is produced by Becky Guzak. Our technical wizard today is Cameron Thomas. And our editor at Cairo is Sean, please don't call me Del Torre. If you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show in Cairo, just listen via podcast at your favorite podcast station.
He's doing it on purpose now.
Yep.
Thank you for listening. And happy Mother's Day.
Do that. Just do it.
Okay.
One more.
Thank you for listening and happy Mother's Day.
Can you act like you're happy to have it Mother's Day?
Happy Mother's Day and thank you for listening.
All right. Quiet on the set, please. That means all of you cookie back there. And Julie. That means you too, Sean. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Loretta Douglas.
Today on the Hot Stove Society radio show, Laura Hamilton's here from the Book Blotter, sharing her favorite new cookbooks just in time for Mother's Day. Peter Miller, the director of Marcella, joins us to talk about his new documentary on Italian cookbook legend. Peter Miller, director of Marcella, joins us to talk about his new documentary on Italian cookbook legend Marcella Hazan, one of my wife's favorites. And Eliza Wood of Chef Shop is here to take us on a balsamic vinegar journey.
All right.